Okay. I think I'm live. Well, that's very delayed. Okay. Yo, I think everybody can see me now. Give me a shout out in the comments, in the chat, if you can hear and see me okay. Sorry about that. It seems like that's just kind of par for the course with my live streams. Something always breaks. As some of you who've been around, for the previous live streams already know, something always goes wrong. So yeah, there's a little bit of a background noise in this stream. I had to switch to my Yeti X because for some reason it wasn't recognizing the mic on my headset, so I'm doing kind of a combo right now I had to patch that together to make it work. But if you've been watching the news, it's really hot in Asia right now, so I've got my AC on like full blast right now, so I apologize if it sounds like there's a helicopter in the background. That's just kind of how the AC units are here. They just make a ton of noise. But if I turn that off, you're gonna see me literally melt on camera within like after 30 minutes. And I've got like I gotta stay like hydrated. I got my Gold Watcher cup here with me from Starbucks. So yeah, I'm fully equipped and good to go. It's 2 a.m. here. Or no, shoot, it's like 2:30 a.m. here now. So yeah, Q&A livestream number 24. Can't believe we got 24 of these things in the bag already. For those of you who are new to this, and I think a lot of you are returning, but just in case anybody is new, we've added a couple new rules. Basically, what I do the Q&A live streams for is to give everybody a chance to ask questions that they've kind of bottled up because, I'm usually working on the game. I don't have time to address a lot of questions online or through emails and stuff. So this is your chance to kind of feed me any questions that you have that you want to know about Dark Deception or Monsters and Mortals or Super Dark Deception or literally anything else that you think we're working on or we might be working on in the near future. The three ways we do that is that you can send in your question via email and we'll randomly select a small number of them. The ones that are, ask interesting questions and have something that's not too spoilery. And the other way is if you're one of our VIP members or channel members on YouTube, we'll answer member questions. And then if you want to support us through Super Chats, I'll take questions that way as well. In general, the rules that I usually ask people for questions is that one, if you ask me a spoiler-related question, obviously I can't answer it. I'm going to have to give you, the you'll see response. That's the best I can do, so don't get angry about that. Just warning you in advance, that's a dead end. Two, nothing related to religion or politics, please. Let's keep this related to games and that kind of thing. I'll generally just ignore those type of questions. And then, everyone who's watching wants to hear cool questions so I can give answers that are actually interesting. If you send me gibberish or, like kind of spammy stuff, I might read it once, but I'm not going to read it like 10, 20 times if you keep doing it. So don't get mad. I'll have to ignore those. And let me think what else. I think that's pretty much covers everything for that. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get right into it. I'm going to start with the member questions. These are our YouTube channel members. And number one is from Bindi17511. And he asks, what updates or changes can you say about Dark Deception, Monsters and Mortals? Okay, that's a good way to kick things off. I was going to kind of go over the status of all of our games kind of at intermission, which is between the member questions and the super chats, but I can jump into Monsters and Mortals right here. So what updates or changes can we say about Monsters and Mortals? Well, there's a lot. So for anyone that's been following Twitter, I've kind of dropped some updates recently saying that Monsters and Mortals finally has a release date. So Monsters and Mortals has been in development hell for the past year, almost, since August of last year, when a critical or a fatal flaw was found in the game code immediately after launching our cross-play version for Epic Games and Steam. So that caused us to have to pull it from the market basically within an hour after launch. So we spent months trying to identify and fix that bug. And we did find it, and it was related to, well, it was in the foundation of the code, but it was also related to AWS. So one of the consequences of that, fixing it, is that we had to push the game back to peer-to-peer. So when the game relaunches, it's not going to be on AWS anymore. It's going to be back to peer-to-peer for the foreseeable future. There's many reasons for that. Basically, if we didn't do it that way, the game dies. We would have to kill the game, and there would be no more monsters and mortals. And honestly, it runs pretty much like we've hired a team. We brought in a team to help us out with it and rebuilt the game from scratch, and it runs just as fast as it did on AWS. So I haven't really seen any performance drop on my end. Runs great. I'll let you all decide when it launches. Obviously, the players are the ultimate deciders of whether it's good or not, and I'm sure you all will let me know. But also, thanks to being able to launch on Epic Game Store, we're bringing back, among others, the Silent Hill DLC. So that's going to be launching on Epic Game Store. So anyone who didn't get it on Steam can get it on Epic Game Store. And we're also working with Konami to potentially, and this is not set in stone yet, but potentially renew the license on Steam. So we'll see if that moves forward. But for now, you'll at least be able to get it on Epic Game Store. And that works, it's cross-play, so that will work with Steam. And of course, we'll put, UK creators and Monstrum on there as well. And shortly after that, it's entirely possible that we may launch it on June 19th as well, is the Yandere Simulator DLC that I know you've all been waiting for. Or it may be a few days later, but it's going to launch in June as well. So you're going to get the Yandere Simulator DLC this month. And you're going to get, all the existing DLCs plus the crossplay version of Monsters and Mortals with the bug fixes, and it actually works now, and some quality of life improvements that I'll go over later. And then as far as Poppy Playtime DLC, which is the one I know a lot of people are looking forward to because that's got over 40,000 wish lists so far, that's going to probably, optimistically, best case scenario, I would say it could go out end of June. That's if, Mob Entertainment signs off on it, gives us their approval. But that wouldn't make sense because then it would kind of compete with Yandere Simulator and, take away the spotlight from that DLC. So we'd probably push it into sometime in July. So immediately after you get the Yandere Simulator DLC, you're going to get it probably Poppy Playtime the next month in July. And then we'll have House of Ashes kind of lined up right after that. Maybe late July or early August. So within the next 2 months, all these 3 DLC are finally all going to be out. But this month is going to be, the relaunch and Yandere Simulator. So it's going to be really awesome to see Monsters and Mortals finally back on its feet, with all new content. And of course, the Cory Kenshin DLC is going to come out this month as well. Before the end of June, it may drop. Well, I guess ultimately that's up to Cory. So it could be end of June or it could be early to mid-July, but it's going to be very soon as well. So there's going to be plenty of new content in Monsters and Mortals DLC very soon. And I've had a lot of people asking me about new costumes. Yes, those are coming too, but maybe not in the near term, probably somewhere between now and Halloween. We'll drop like another costume back for the store, so you guys who've bought everything can unlock some new content. So that's the update, the big update on Monsters and Mortals. Of course, there's much more to it than just that. There's a lot of stuff I can't share yet. But as far as those 3 DLC and the existing DLC, that's what's happening. And go on to question number 2. That was a big one for question number 1. But I think that's a good way to start off. Joy Lucky says, "Hey Vince, hope the Monster Energy fiasco is going okay." Yeah, that's still going. It's still going okay. As a fan of the Vulture Guard, I've got to ask, will the Vulture Guard return in Prison Panic? Vultures could represent many things like corruption or injustice. I'm sure you can't fully say this, but as a big fan of the enemy, I just wanted to ask, as it would be unfortunate to see them scrapped forever. Well, I can conclusively tell you that the Vulture Guard is not part of Prison Panic in Dark Deception Chapter 5, unfortunately. So I don't want to dash your hopes, but the Vulture Guard is kind of a shelved design at this point. Shelved doesn't mean scrapped forever. Shelved means waiting for the right opportunity, the right time. So I don't think Chapter 5 is the right time to revisit that design. And I think when I do revisit it, I'm going to change it. You know, I'll probably modify what's there. Even if you guys already like that design, reusing it at some point may require it to be adjusted to fit into whatever we're going to use it with. So we'll see. I mean, it could make its way into Monsters and Mortals at some point. That seems like an easy place to add it. But at this point, there's just nothing I can really say about that that would actually be accurate. It's just kind of a shelved design at this point. But at least it's there. It's great to have a backlog of cool designs that are unused, because then at some point we have something come up, we can dig them out and see if they work. Question number 3 from Judinator. Hi Vince, I have 2 questions. Have you checked out Amnesia the Bunker or the Outlast Trials? If so, what's your opinion of them? Also, what's your favorite character to play out of the new M&M or Monsters and Mortals DLCs? Oh man, I haven't gotten a chance to play many games lately because I've been working nonstop on these 3 game projects, but I have squeezed in, of course, time for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I can't ignore that one. But I think that game is just so massive that I can't actually really make any... You know, I can't make a dent in that game. It requires so many hours. I think I'm at that point where I don't know how many 100+ hour games I can continue to play. Like, there's so many games now, they're like open world and you play them for like 100, 150, 200 hours. I just don't have that kind of free time anymore. So I think I'm going to have to stick to games like Resident Evil where, you know, I can beat it in 10 to 20 hours and that's it. Outlast Trials would be a good one, and Amnesia the Bunker are perfect. They fit right into that time range. So I haven't gotten to play them yet. I think Outlast Trials, I don't really have a group to play that with yet. Like, I saw Corey and Dashi and Poised playing that. So maybe I'll reach out to some of the YouTubers I know or you fans and see. I do still have my gaming channel. Maybe I'll throw together an Outlast Trials match at one point, assuming that's on PS5. If it's PC only right now, then I'll wait for them to push it to PS5 before I kick that off. But yeah, they look really cool. I'm a fan of Amnesia and Outlast, so yeah, I want to play them. And as far as my favorite character out of the new Monsters and Mortals DLCs, that is a good question. I guess, I mean, in the immediate term, I would say Ayano from the Yandere Simulator DLC. I just like using Ayano. So, I mean, obviously a lot of people will go for Fuggy, well, Kissy Missy in the Poppy Playtime DLC. But, yeah, and then I also have favorite. I think I have like a favorite per game. I can't really like put one over the other. Let's see. Question number 4. Argo 4. For support class monsters... Oh, for Monsters and Mortals. Have you considered allowing them to heal slap 10 HP instead of 5 HP? As of now, heal slapping 5 HP to heal my monster teammates feels like nothing. Yeah, I think a lot of characters in the game are due for a rebalancing, so that's something I can take note of. I think I maybe overlooked the values for the heal slaps. I know Fierce does that, and she does it pretty well, but the monster characters probably are a little bit outdated as far as their stats and the data that we put in for them, the variables. So yeah, we're gonna do a pass on a lot of characters when we relaunch. So that's something I can take a look at. Thanks for bringing that up. Question number 5 from the Shadow Phoenix. Hi Vince, the Super Brutes are a fairly menacing boss, but when they group up and all trail after one person, it looks more goofy than anything, and can make it extremely unfair for the person targeted. Would there ever be an update to their AI where they each target one player to balance things out a bit more and prevent conga lines? Maybe I'm alone on this, but I like seeing them bully one person, and I'm really happy when it's not me. So I recognize that that's a bit overkill, like for them all ganging up on one person, but it's hilarious. So I kind of, I guess I'm a little bit hesitant to break that up and lose that, but I could see it going 2 and 2. I wouldn't split the brutes up and have one go after like one person each, because that's a little bit too easy to avoid and would get kind of boring. I've done that with other enemy types, and it always wound up being pretty boring, because it was really easy to get away from the one the one boss unit, and then you already know that the others are pretty much assigned to all the other players and are locked onto them. So yeah, it's like a picnic. That's not very fun. You need that anxiety, you need that intensity. So maybe 2 would work still. I'd have to try it out and see if it loses that edge. But yeah, I mean, that's something we could reevaluate as well and see if it's more fun changing it or if it's still more fun to leave it as it is. Because that could be very subjective. Let's see. DD West, number 6. You said you had prison panic. Oh, sorry, let me read that. It's like 3 a.m., so I'm going to read a lot of stuff wrong. You said prison panic was going to be like torment therapy, very different from a normal prison. So is the prison level going to have a runway for like models? No. No runway. But I can't really describe prison panic. Obviously that's spoiler territory. But yeah, it is very different from a normal prison. I over the weekend, I almost pulled the trigger on a teaser for Prison Panic, and I decided to hold off on it a little bit longer. But I am going to show some Prison Panic teasers fairly soon, just to give you guys a taste. Nothing that's going to answer all of your questions, but just a glimpse, a peek through the keyhole, if you will. So you can expect that pretty soon. Question number 7, Ryguy LV. For Monsters and Mortals, will there ever be a feature to copy and paste codes for friend play? I've seen demand for it, and I think it would be a welcome quality of life addition. That actually would make sense if we could do it. I mean, that's definitely something more in Nixon's department. I'd have to ask him how trivial that is to put in a copy-paste feature. It really depends on how he's written his code and if it supports that. So if it does, and it's an easy change for us, we can always add that in. Yeah, no problem. We're always happy to make, quality of life changes that improve things for the players. But if it's a massive pain and we have to rewrite stuff to make that work, then obviously, that doesn't eliminate it as a potential change. It just puts it in the low priority list, and we address the bigger stuff first. But thank you for bringing that up. I mean, I love to hear requests like that for quality of life changes. There's a lot of things that, may be obvious like that we just don't think about because we're thinking of like the bigger ticket items, and we kind of lose sight of those smaller things. So, yeah, there's no bad suggestions. Question number 8 from Hawkeye. Hey Vince, hope all is going well, dude. Are you potentially able to reveal the contents of the super duper collector's edition for Dark Deception? I saw those awesome headphones in one of your posts. Hey. And even more super duper excited for what's to come. Well, awesome, man. I'm glad you enjoyed the headsets. I love these things. And I'm not just saying that because it's, Dark Deception on them. I think if it didn't even have... they gave me initially the plain precog headset just to, test it out and making sure it was a good headset, not, cheap crap. So I tried it out when it's just the basic default precog without any Dark Deception stuff, and it's just the quality's good. Because I've used a lot of cheap headsets that were poor quality, stuff like Beats. I don't know. Sorry if any of you love Beats, but those are like overpriced garbage to me. Sound quality is just not too good. So I've used a lot of stuff like that, and Razer all my Razer headphones fell apart, but these ones were good. They had good sound, and not only that, they passed the stress test of abuse. So like, dropping them and pulling them off your head and throwing them around. They didn't crack, they didn't break, nothing peeled. And I've had them for months now. After 3 months, my Razer Kraken headset like peeled and fell apart. It was very cheaply made. So yeah, that was the first thing I cared about, was whether it was a good headset, because I don't want to push crummy products on you guys. As somebody who's a fan himself and who buys a lot of stuff, obviously, like that from things that I'm a fan of, that's the worst, when you pay a high price and you get cheap garbage. So I don't want to be one of the teams that's selling that kind of stuff. And anything I sell to you guys is going to be very well made. But yeah, as far as the Super Duper Collection Edition goes, title pending, we're not exactly sure everything that's going to be in it. Obviously, you guys know I've posted publicly now that we're working with limited run games. That was a swap, just a business side thing. We were originally with Special Reserve Games, and we swapped to limited run games. They're just able to meet our needs better, and so it was kind of a mutual swap. So, yeah, they do a really good job. A lot of you are already fans of limited run games. They make great box sets, and we're kind of working with them directly to make sure the Dark Deception box set is really awesome as well. So among the products that we talked about were the headset. That's probably going to be in the box set, definitely. And also we've talked about like a 10 or 12 inch, like really awesome figure of Joykill, or potentially a different character. Maybe we'll put it up to a vote, and we'll let you all vote on what goes in the box, as far as if we go with a figure. So that'd be like a really cool thing to do, is to involve the Dark Deception community. I mean, this is your box set. It's for you guys. Shouldn't you get to pick what's in it? So, yeah, I may put that to a vote for certain items and be like, hey, who do you guys want to be this figure, or who do you want to be on the headset? Something like that. But as I get more details, for the smaller stuff, I'll share that, because obviously nothing's going to be kept secret. Question number 9 from Emily. Hey, Vince. Hope you're doing all right today. I am. Thanks. One silly little thing I wanted to ask is, what do you think of fan-made characters for Dark Deception? Like Diamond Watchers. Instead of being made out of gold, they're made out of diamonds and have different mechanics. Well, I mean, I always love seeing fan-made characters. I haven't seen the Diamond Watchers. If somebody made a diamond version of the Gold Watcher, that makes a lot of sense. He's all about the decadence. So, I mean, what's more decadent than diamonds? But yeah, I mean, I think that's really cool that fans are being creative. And I don't know if that's like a skin for Monsters and Mortals. Was the question just to see what I think of it, or if we were like planning to use them? I think it was just to see if I was a fan of it. So, I mean, we're not going to use that stuff for Monsters and Mortals. I love seeing it in mods. So if the fans are sharing that within the community, that's amazing. That's awesome. I'm never going to discourage that. As far as like doing stuff like that for Dark Deception, of course, we're going to do, different versions of Gold Watcher. We kind of went from Gold Watcher to Titan Watcher, and then obviously maybe in the sequel we may up the ante a bit for all characters and have different versions. And you're going to see a lot of different stuff for Chapter 5 that I'm not going to spoil. Some variations. Well, I kind of did spoil one. I think you saw my post on Twitter about Mecha Monkey, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, there's some variations coming up. Let's see. Question number 10 from Unicat Ninjas. Is there potential for a Case Animatronics Monsters and Mortals DLC? Well, I'm not going to say no to anything unless the creator tells me no. But it's not on our radar at the moment. Is there still a following for Case Animatronics? I know it had... It was kind of in the FNAF circle for a while. I heard about it that way because FNAF fans were talking about it, but I mean, is it still something that's kind of relevant? I haven't heard about it in a while, so I don't know. Maybe I'm out of touch. So if that's still big and there's a lot of fans for it, yeah, more people tell me about it, then I will start to look into it more. Question number 11 from ProGamer 200145. What was Mama Bear's boss design inspiration? Well, that's very interesting, actually. It's based on something most people wouldn't expect. So Mama Bear's boss design was actually derived from a Japanese pop artist named Kiari Pamu. And sorry if I butcher her name. I'm trying to remember how to pronounce it. Yeah, it was like Kiari Pamu. And she did a song for John Wick 3 that was called Ninja Bang Bang. And she went on a concert tour in Japan and did that song and a bunch of others on tour. But she had a stage set that had a crazy bear on it. And that bear kind of became the inspiration for Mama Bear's boss design. It's a little bit obscure. It's probably very hard to find. But I think if you dig enough places, you'll probably find it. Oh, and that is it for our member questions. So I'm going to jump over to Super Chat. But before I do, I said I was going to have kind of a little intermission. Also so I can take a drink. It's getting a little warm in here. It's the joy of being in the South Pacific. Very humid, very hot. So we're going to give a quick update for all of our games, because I know a lot of you hung around to find out about that. So I've talked about, obviously, Monsters and Mortals. June 19th, we're relaunching the game on Epic, and we're updating the Steam build. It's going to be the new peer-to-peer build that has all the DLC and crossplay. It all works fine. It also has a lot better, like we've completely rebuilt the matchmaking system. So it's a lot more intelligent about searching between regions. That was a big problem in the previous version. Even with AWS, that was kind of an issue. So people in Asia were having bad performance and, a long time waiting, trying to get into matches because all of our players are based in mostly America and Europe. So that will be less of a problem now. It's all under the options setting. It's been updated under options as well. So yeah, June 19th, we're going to be relaunching Silent Hill and UK Creators and Monstrum, as well as the base game on Epic Game Store, plus on Steam. Silent Hill on Steam is still pending, so on June 19th, the only way I can say with absolute certainty is that it will be available on Epic Game Store. And again, the saves are not, there's no cross saves. So unfortunately, cross-saving is not possible unless you want me to reset everybody's save files. So I assumed, considering some of you put thousands of hours into Monsters and Mortals, that you would not want me to delete everyone's save file and force you all to restart the game from scratch so that we could have cross-saves. So, yeah, if you buy the Epic version, you have to start from scratch on Epic. And build you could build a secondary or alt character there and, level it up again. Your Steam character will remain. Your Steam save file is fine. Nothing will happen to that. And as far as Dark Deception goes, I'm not ready to give a release date for Dark Deception. I know a lot of you want to hear that. But, of course, I'm going to reiterate that we are going to Tokyo Game Show in September, and that we're going to be showing a demo of Dark Deception Chapter 5 there, and it will be playable. So I'm not going to say which level it is, but it's going to be either... Well, I will give you a selection that it's going to be one or the other. It's going to either be Holiday Horror, the mall level, or it's going to be Prison Panic. So we're not sure which one we're going to show yet, but we're going to show one of them. So we will probably live stream that from Tokyo Game Show for everyone that can't attend. And we will have some creators in attendance that are going to come check it out and play it. So it's going to be a fun time. And we have a lot of other cool stuff coming for Dark Deception, kind of in sync with that. So I've mentioned several times that we have Dark Deception books that are already done. We just haven't published or released them. So we're going to kind of time that with the Chapter 5 release. And also, of course, Super Dark Deception. Super Dark Deception is a reimagining of Dark Deception in 2D, a demake. So it follows the same storyline, it has the same plot, but it has a lot of new additions that are exclusive to Super Dark Deception that kind of set it apart and make it unique. Things like mini games and extra scene or exclusive scenes and exclusive endings, and overall just a lighter, goofier tone than Dark Deception. Dark Deception's kind of the more mature, more serious version. So since they have the same story, I can't release Super Dark Deception prior to Chapter 5. They're kind of tied together. Because if Super Dark Deception goes out, then, you'll see all the story of Chapter 5, and that ruins it for everyone who's been playing the 3D version this entire time. We want everyone to experience the end together. So those two are kind of joined at the hip, but we are doing something, a little bit of a compromise with Super Dark Deception to make people happy, and that is we are going to, on PC and mobile only, sorry console players, you guys have to wait because your version is locked to a complete version. We can't do chapters on console. So for mobile and for PC, we are going to release chapters 1 through 4 prior to the final release of Dark Deception, so that everyone who's played Super Dark Deception can at least experience chapters 1 through 4 to catch up to the 3D players. So then everybody will be kind of at the same point when Chapter 5 drops and, the game is complete. So that is the update for those 3 games. So let's go ahead and jump into the Super Chats now. And if any of them pertain to that, I'll just kind of repeat what I've just said, but in a more brief way. So Justin Awesome threw in 5. Thank you, Justin. Hey Vince, when will the achievement bugs for Chapter 4 get fixed? They're already fixed. It's just they're not pushed live yet. And the main reason for that is it's impossible for us to separate content from our build. And a lot of people will, data mine the game and pull assets. So we can't risk Chapter 5 assets being pulled. So we have to kind of push everything together. But yeah, those are fixed. Let me see. Next one. Another one from Justin Awesome. Thank you. Through another 2. Will Chapter 5 come out this year or next year? Like I said, I can't say anything about release dates. You'll just have to wait and see. But it is coming. Jack of Madness threw in 5. Thank you, Jack. Will the portal icon for Holiday Horror remain as the mannequin, or will it be changed to the Puppet King? Oh, actually, yeah. So that portal icon has been updated to be the Puppet King. So yeah, you will see that portal icon change in the final version. Let me see. Next one is Joshua Time Cartoon threw in 5. Thank you very much. Well, Amanda the Adventure... will Amanda the Adventure be in Monsters and Mortals? For example, make Riley and Wooly as mortal, Amanda as monster, and Demon Amanda as a boss stage. It's possible. I saw Amanda the Adventure. It looked like a cool game. So, I mean, if that continues to do well and it's got a good following, then that's always something we're open to discuss with that team and see if it works. First, we, of course, have to get through the 3 DLCs that we are releasing now, plus the other ones that we have coming. We still have Piggy, we still have the Coma 2, and we also have a new one that's unannounced that I haven't shared yet that's also coming. So there's 3 more waiting in the wings that we have to get through after these 3. So you want to know, once all 6 of those DLC are out, then we'll look at who else we can kind of add to that list. Let's see. My Vision threw in 10 euros. Thank you. Hi Vince, hope you're okay. I wonder, does the portal on Bierce's ballroom represent the 9th circle of hell? Violence, heresy, gluttony, greed, lust, etc. I won't say that it represents it, but it was inspired by it, and it is loosely based on that. So yeah, you're not off. It is. I would say a percentage of that is inspired by, Dante's Inferno and the 9th circle of hell. So Yeah, I've seen a couple of fans kind of guess that, so it's not too bad. James Smith threw in €2. Thank you. How big is Mascot Mayhem? Well, Mascot Mayhem is fairly big. Maybe it doesn't seem that big to me anymore after doing the Chapter 5 levels, because the Chapter 5 levels are much larger. But I mean, it was was it our first 3-zone level? I think it was. Yeah, Torment Therapy was only 2 zones. So it was our first 3-zone level. So I can't say with certainty that it's bigger than Mama Bear's level, Barely Buried, but I think they're kind of on par. Some people have told me they think Zone 3 is too small, but I think if you add it together with Zone 2 and Zone 1, Zone 1 obviously being the largest due to the scale of the park and the castle and everything, I think it's pretty comparable, because Barely Buried Zone 1 is a bit small. So I think each of them have two decent sized zones, and then one that's a little bit reduced. Okay. Justin Awesome threw in another 5. Thank you for your multiple contributions. Why is Mama Bear the portal icon, but the Trigger Teddy's the menu and replay icon? Also, why is Malik faster than you in Crazy Carnival's escape sequence? Well, Mama Bear is the portal icon, and the Trigger Teddy is the menu and replay icon, because at first, the portal icon was the Trigger Teddy, before I kind of finalized the design for Mama Bear, and then felt that she would be a better portal icon, and I think a lot of fans suggested that to me as well. And at the same time, I felt it was a shame to waste the Trigger Teddy icon, because he's cute, and, he's part of Mama Bear. They're kind of a pair, so I thought it'd be cool to see her on the portal, and then see Trigger Teddy in the sub-menus. And as far as Malik being faster than you in Crazy Carnival's escape sequence, I think that's just a bug. But it's a good bug, because most people complain that Malik's too slow and not challenging enough, which I think, I don't think they'll be saying that for Chapter 5, but it's not bad that there's one level where maybe Malik has an advantage. 9A's threw in 10. Thank you, 9A's. Hey, Vince, I'm also a game developer, and Dark Deception is a huge inspiration to me. Is there any more details you can give us on Mannequins, Puppet King, Darkstar, and that Lamprey creature? Lamprey? Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about. Well, I mean, it's awesome to hear you're a game developer, and thank you very much for saying Dark Deception is an inspiration for you. That's always humbling. As far as more details, I have some stuff that I'm going to be sharing about Darkstar. Obviously, I'll kind of give a better glimpse of her coming up, and maybe more of a glimpse at her personality. I'm not going to spoil the game by revealing too much. I will reveal maybe a few of the other level enemies in her level. Maybe you'll see a little bit more of Puppet King. I think I've shown enough with the Red Stalkers. I'm not going to show anything more with them. And as far as the mystery creature that I know you're referring to, everybody calls it Nemesis. That one's very secretive, so I'm not going to share any details on that one. But I think Darkstar's level's your best bet for more details. I can't share those right now, but I think in the next month or so, I'm going to share visual images, kind of visual teasers for Twitter and YouTube. So you can kind of keep up there and check in if you want to see those, and that's where I'll post them. Let me see, who else? Janet Walter threw in 5. Thank you, Janet. Hello, this is Chicken Tindius. Roblox Doors and Monsters and Mortals DLC win. Maybe someday? I don't know. I'd have to ask them. I saw Doors. That's really cool. Feels like it would be a good fit in Monsters and Mortals. But, as with all things, that's not my call. It's up to the team. If they have any interest, then I'll have interest. And once I, get all the work I'm supposed to do done. Zian Ni threw in 2. Thank you, Zian. Is Kissy Missy a monster or a mortal? Uh, that's kind of out of our decision. Well, it's not our decision right now. It could be either one. I'm going to let Mob Entertainment make that call. Technically, the mortals are all supposed to be exactly that, mortals. They're supposed to be human. Or, I mean, they can be enhanced humans, even resembling a little bit like monsters. Like, you can see, like, 8-Bit Ryan and myself, even my own character, and Super Horror Bros character have these kind of like god eyes that make them look, a little bit less than human, a little bit monstrous, or like superhuman. So, yeah, they don't have to look, super realistic. They can look a little monstrous, but I'm going to let Mob Entertainment make that call, which side they want Kissy Missy on. Because technically, I don't think she's evil in Poppy Playtime. I didn't see enough of her in Chapter 2 to really know, and I haven't asked their team yet. I just went ahead and made her and put her in. So, I kind of have to check with them to see what the whole story behind Kissy Missy is and how she should fit into Monsters and Mortals as far as which team. So we'll see. Let's see. District D threw in 55. Thank you, District D. Will Mama Bear have a panda skin in Monsters and Mortals? What is the genre of the next mystery DLC? Will there be a DLC in the sci-fi horror comedy genre for future? Well, we've got 3 questions, so let's go through each one individually. Will Mama Bear have a panda skin in Monsters and Mortals? Maybe. What is the genre of the next mysterious DLC? Horror. Will there be... Sorry, I know that's pretty simplified, but I'm going to go with that for now. Will there be DLC in the sci-fi horror comedy genre? Sci-fi horror comedy. I'm struggling to think of an example for that. Sci-fi horror. I got plenty of sci-fi horror, but once you threw in the comedy, I can't think of anything. Obviously, you have something in mind, and you're hoping I'm going to say that, but whatever you're thinking of. But I don't know any sci-fi horror comedies. Geez, I mean, I know horror comedy like Evil Dead, but maybe if Ash is in space. Hey, Jason X, but that's a movie. That's the only sci-fi horror comedy I can think of. Shadow X Acno threw in 5. Is there any update on the Dark Deception novel as for the illustration, or has that been finished? Actually, I just gave a little update on the book, saying that it's done and that we're trying to put it out with chapter... Well, not trying, but we are going to put it out with chapter 5, or pretty close to the release date. As far as the illustration goes, no, we haven't done the illustrations for them yet. We're still searching for the right illustrator for that. I'm kind of like the last... I'm kind of the safety net for that. If I have to, I'll do the illustrations myself. But I already have so much work on my plate that I don't want to do it if I don't have to. So I'd love to give somebody else that opportunity to create something really cool and spare me, like, doing 100th task. But if I can't find the right artist for it, then I will just do it myself. So one way or the other, it's going to get done. Jaded Rebel threw in 5. Thank you. How's it going, Vince? My question is, what were your inspirations for the Chapter 5 monsters? That's a good question. So, obviously, Chapter 5 with the Puppet King, a lot of people have already kind of guessed this, is that, especially with Daniel Dombrowski's music, there's definitely a kind of Stranger Things inspiration going on in the holiday horror level. I wouldn't say that Puppet King is directly inspired by Stranger Things, but partially. There are kind of a multitude of small inspirations like that all kind of contributed, like maybe one detail or so that kind of, mixed together with our own ideas, kind of form everything. As far as Darkstar goes, I'm trying to remember if there was an inspiration for Darkstar or if she was just kind of like a rabbit out of a hat type character. I think Darkstar was a result of kind of a wrong turn in character design that kind of led to the right path by mistake. So we originally had a completely different idea for Darkstar, and the character wasn't even called Darkstar at that point, and it wasn't a female character. So because that character bombed and that idea fell apart, it kind of led to Darkstar and a kind of revised design based on largely and surprisingly Yakuza or Yakuza, the game series. I know a lot of you are familiar with it, so maybe you'll recognize these the inspirations later when you play it and see her, but we'll see. Let's see. Jaded. No, I already did that one. Sayori threw in 2. Thank you, Sayori. Will we be getting Monsters and Mortals on console? Oh, I'm going to take a sip real quick. Monsters and Mortals on console? Yes. I can't say conclusively yes, but that is in our plans. So we do have a team that we're working with that's going to be working on the Monsters and Mortals ports for console. That kind of is based on or dependent on the PC and Epic Games Store version kind of continuing to do well, just keeping the game profitable enough that it's, something that we can continue to support. So far, that's been the case. The M&M community, Monsters and Mortals community, is very supportive. You guys are amazing. You guys are the reason this game is still alive. So as long as it has support, we'll keep supporting it. So yeah, if that means getting it onto consoles, we'll do it. We have the team ready to work with us to do that. It would probably go to, we'd support all consoles. I can't promise mobile. So mobile might get scrapped, or not scrapped, but delayed. That may come later. Kind of like Dead by Daylight came to mobile much later. It may be that way for Monsters and Mortals as well, as our focus would definitely be on like PS5 and Xbox Series XX. I don't know if it would run on Switch. I really don't. I think Dead by Daylight's running on Switch, but it must have been optimized like crazy. So, Monsters and Mortals is already pretty optimized. We'd probably have to optimize it a bit more, but if it runs awesome, we'll do it. But if it requires like a massive amount of work, then it might not wind up on Switch. But either way, it's going to wind up on a console. We got another one from ZNE. Thank you. Another 5. Will you consider collaborating with Amanda the Adventure and My Friendly Neighborhood? I'll consider collaborating with anyone. I'm pretty open about that. I never really stick my nose up at anybody. So, they have to tell me no. That's kind of the rule. I'm willing to work with them. If they don't want to do it, that's fine. We'll move on to the next interested party. And also, we don't have infinite time and resources. We can only work with so many people. And at some point, we have to kind of draw the line, the finish line, and say, okay, that's enough. That's the end. But as long as we still have resources and we still have time, and the fans are supporting it, then we'll definitely continue to look for interesting guest DLC that we can add. So yeah, either one of those could work. It really depends on their community and how much this support their games have. That's kind of the deciding factor. Adam Azur threw in another 2. Thank you. Will your partner... No, I did correct that right. Will you partner with Limited Run on Chapter 5? Okay. Sorry, I was trying to translate. There was a little bit of a few typos in there. Yeah, so I guess Limited Run's not partnering with us on Chapter 5. Sorry, I don't know if that was your question, what you meant. That's kind of how I'm interpreting what's there. They are working on our physical release. So the digital, like the development of the game and the digital release, that's just 100% us. They're not doing that. So they're doing basically us taking it and putting it on like a physical, Switch cartridge or a PS5 disc, and then the collector's box set. So once we hand the game to them, it's already finished. we're probably going to make the content in the physical box related mainly to Chapter 5, just because, you know, that's the most recent chapter, and it's got a lot of cool things in it. So probably a lot of the merch will be geared towards Chapter 5 rather than the previous chapters, because I think we already have, you know, tons of plushies and we've got U2s. We've got plenty of merch for the previous 4 chapters. So Chapter 5 will probably dominate the box set and, you know, kind of the merchandise and stuff like that. SharkFan 2 threw in £10. Thank you, SharkFan. Was there any particular reason why Special Reserve Games couldn't do physical editions of Dark Deception and Super Dark Deception anymore? And is this going to delay the console demos? So the reason Special Reserve Games, and I'm under NDA with them, so that means I'm not allowed to discuss, you know, the fine details of our arrangement. Special Reserve Games just basically had some things on their side that got in the way, and they were no longer able to take on the task of producing the physical edition of Super Dark Deception and Dark Deception. So it was their decision. They were basically just kind of coming, being honest and saying, hey, look, we're overloaded. We can't take on this game like we thought we could. So Limited Run was there to kind of pick it up and said, hey, we can do it instead. That's pretty much the gist of it. Zian Ni threw another 5. Thank you again for your multiple contributions. Is Puppet King also a very complex character like Darkstar in terms of personality, or is he more simple like Reaper Nurse or Lucky? He's probably, I would say, more complex. I'll let you all decide when you play through that level, but I believe he's more complex. And of course, Lucky becomes more complex in Chapter 5 also. Vizian Raymond threw in 5. Thank you, Vizian. Hey, Mr. Vince. Hopefully you're doing all right. I am. I'm hanging in here. He said there is a mystery DLC to announce. Can you give any hints at all to see what it could be? No, unfortunately I can't, because all of you are too good at guessing. Any little hint, you guys will probably have it by, you know, within the hour, if that. That's being probably generous. I bet it'd be more like 10 minutes. So I'm gonna save that one until it's ready, because I'll just say this: it's one of the bigger indie game names, so you'll know it right away. There's no way for me to hide it once a hint drops. And I will disqualify one right now, because I know everybody goes to FNAF right away. It's not FNAF. So I'll cut that out right away, just to give you a smaller pool to guess from. And it is indie, it's not AAA, this one. Okay, 2 from Shosho Dupers. Thank you, Shosho. Hi, Vince. Have you seen Rainbow Friends Chapter 2? I haven't seen the game, but I've seen it on Twitter. I've seen a lot of people sharing images and stuff about it. So I guess that's kind of what I've seen so far, so I'm aware of it. I believe that's like a Roblox game, right? Maybe I've got it wrong, but yeah, I've seen the characters. It kind of reminds me a lot of, like, because I'd never played Rainbow Friends or the previous chapter. So right away it kind of reminded me of Garden of Banban. And maybe that's because Garden of Banban was kind of inspired by them since they came first. I don't know. That may just be like pure coincidence. But yeah, that was kind of my first take upon seeing it. Let's see, Autumn Azur threw in 5. Thank you, Autumn, again. What's the current situation on Poppy Playtime? The game, not Monsters and Mortals. It's been nothing but radio silence. No offense. Are you talking about their game, like the full game? Because you said the game, not Monsters and Mortals. I have no idea. They don't tell me anything about, like, the development of Poppy Playtime. Obviously, you know, they want to, you know, prevent leaks, so... And I never really asked them about Chapter 3, as far as anything like that. I assume, like, they're putting a lot of... I mean, just looking at the recent Project Playtime DLC that they released, the the toy destruction factory. It looks like they're putting a lot of work into it, so, that takes a lot of time. So I assume, like, they're working hard like we're working hard, and those guys are very dedicated to quality like we are. So I assume, like, Chapter 3, maybe it's going to take them a long time, but when it comes out, it'll be worth the wait. It's going to, at least, the very least, it's not going to look bad. It's going to look probably really good. Artsmen through in 5. Thank you, Artsmen. Hey, Vince, so this isn't a question related to Dark Deception or anything related to that, but have you tried Anton Blast? No, I haven't. I have to look that up. I'm not familiar with it. But thank you for supporting us, and thanks for mentioning that. Now I have something new to look up. Shadow X Acno through in 5. Thank you, Shadow. When Chapter 5 finally releases, will you... Sorry, one sec, I gotta pre-read this. Oh, will you do a full Dark Deception developer playthrough stream? Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I mean, usually when I release something, like previous chapters, I'll do a stream of it, just to show myself playing through it, to show, how good I am at my own game. A lot of you usually are better than I am, but yeah, I usually do that. So it might be interesting now that the game is finally done, that I play through the entire game from start to finish, and do a stream like that. Maybe I can do it into a charity stream or something of that nature, and I just have to find a good charity, and then we can do, since the game dropped, and if it's selling well, I could do like some kind of price match for whatever gets donated. That'd be a great way to raise money for a good cause. Feels like something worthwhile for that. Something to think about. We have some time. Unicat Ninjas through another 5. If my super chats begin with NMQ, means not my question. They were sent to me by community members, not a personal question comment. Let's get into it. And then she follows with another 5. Thank you again. NMQ, what is what is Mega Mama's design inspiration, and why has she... Sorry, I'm misreading this. Why she has an awkward T-pose attack with her claws. So Mega Mama, I think you mean the boss design. Okay, I think that was your question earlier I read, so I already answered that. So I answered it earlier with the member questions, but what I said was it was related to a Japanese pop star, I think Kiari Pamu, a concert tour she did a while back, like 7 or 8 years ago. It was one of her stage props. I don't know why they went with that prop, but it was a kind of creepy looking bear with these long arms, so that kind of led to Mama Bear. And as far as the T-pose attack with her claws, is that a bug? Maybe it is. Send me a photo if you have it. Unless you're referring to something different. Automazura threw in 2. Thank you again. That's multiple from you. Are there any Chapter 5 enemies with ranged attacks? Yeah. That would be Puppet King. And kind of Darkstar? I don't know. I can't say why I'm saying kinda, because that's a bit of a spoiler. But I'll just go with Puppet King for now. He's definitely ranged. There's more than Puppet King, but I can't start like naming off, all the characters. Obviously, that will spoil things. So for now, I'll say Puppet King. He does have a ranged attack. Jack of Madness threw in another 5. Thank you. Don't know if this was asked before, but what's your onboarding process for DLC? Like, how do you decide DLC for Monsters Immortals? Well, I mean, the first thing, what I said in the beginning was that I wanted to work with horror IP, like horror franchises that have significantly contributed to the horror gaming genre. So, Dead by Daylight is focused on horror cinema. They do like Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers and Ghostface, anything that's been a cultural icon for horror on film. something that's immediately recognizable, a household name. They go for all of those horror franchises for Dead by Daylight. We are kind of the opposite. We focus on gaming, purely on gaming. So I'm never going to put Michael Myers in Monsters and Mortals. We would rather go for like Resident Evil or Silent Hill, which we have, Silent Hill. So Fatal Frame, stuff like that. You know, the really well-known horror games from the past and from the present. So a lot of the really well-known horror games from the present are the YouTube horror games. That doesn't mean, you know, they're on YouTube. They grew in popularity on YouTube. Stuff like FNAF and Bendy and even Dark Deception all kind of fit into that group. So my criteria usually is one, that it's a game that's made a contribution to the horror genre. By contribution, I mean it's built an audience. So it's something that was popular, it's well known, it has a large following, or it contributes something else. I mean, there are some niche games that maybe didn't get the numbers of something like FNAF or Resident Evil, but they contributed it in a different way, like with a really remarkable art style, or just something that became like a huge inspiration to other developers that they all kind of drew inspiration from. So it's influential in that way. Some of them are just, I guess, diamonds in the rough, like underrated gems, like something that should have been big, but it got kind of passed on, but it's an amazing game. I'll try to like highlight some of those too. Something like the Coma, I think, is a good example. It's a cult hit in Asia, but it never really got its due in the US and in the West. So I'll make an exception for some things like that to do DLC for something that I feel is deserving. Let's see. Confusion Z Gamer through and 5. Thank you, Confusion. 2 questions. How did you come up with the idea of Dark Deception and the designs for the monsters? And can I make a fan game on Roblox? 2 questions. All right. How did I come up with the idea of Dark Deception? Well, I mean, what I've kind of shared with everyone over the years is that Dark Deception was initially based on Pac-Man, and that was a result of a compromise with my previous business partner who didn't want to do anything that I wanted to do. So we kind of mutually agreed to do kind of a reimagining of a old, I guess, the core gameplay of like an older classic game. So we were like, okay, what are the classic games from the past? Things like Pac-Man and Mario and even something like Frogger. And what's funny is, I don't know if I've told this story, is my former business partner suggested Frogger, and I pitched Pac-Man, and we wound up going with Pac-Man. And then shortly after that, somebody dropped that game Crossy Road on mobile, which was a reimagining of Frogger, and it became like this big hit. And so he kind of held that over my head for a while, but I think it all worked out. Like, Dark Deception is a very popular game now too, so either one works. It's like when you have that core element, that core fun is in place, you know, the rest kind of falls in line as well. And as far as making a fan game on Roblox, yeah, I mean, I can't tell anyone that they can't make a fan game on Roblox. If you want it to be something that we officially endorse or kind of give our stamp of approval to, then simply just send me what you're working on. Send it to our email, contact@glowstickentertainment.com. Whatever you have, whether it's a pitch deck or you actually have a prototype working that we can check out, and then we'll see if it's something that we want to kind of officially endorse. And we've already had a few kind of Roblox creators reach out to us for something like that. So yeah, it's already something we're looking at. It's okay to do. Go for it. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 5. Thank you. NMQ, why in BB Zone 1 Mama Bear appeared with a huge head jump scare? Also, wasn't she going to roam around in Zone 1 in her old teaser? Well, did she really appear, or was that Malik messing with Doug? That's kind of the question for that one. Also, wasn't she going to roam around in Zone 1 in her old teaser? I'm not sure which teaser that is you're referring to. So, she does kind of go around Zone 1 on her own. It's just based on Doug's event path. He never encounters her until he gets down into the caverns. I assume everyone's kind of played that point at, that chapter at this point, so apologies if anyone hasn't gotten to that level yet, and I just spoiled that for them. Spoiler, I guess I should have said spoiler alert. So, yeah, that's that. SDB threw in 5. Thank you, SDB. Hey, Vince, I know you told us about Shard Stash and King of the Monsters in a previous Q&A. Is there any more info you can give this, or any game modes? Oh, well, I'm glad you remembered. So, yeah, we still have those game modes. Those are going to still be added. Probably a little bit later, though. So, it won't be part of the release coming up on June 19th, or probably at any point in late June or July. It would probably be after that we get the game modes in, because our first priority is getting the DLC out so that people can have new content. So after that, we'll address like the rebalancing and getting the new modes in. So yeah, that's something we're still working on. Let me see. Xenosaurus threw in HUF 400. Thank you very much. When do we get to see the Chapter 5 trailer? Well, when the game's done, I'll drop the Chapter 5 trailer. Probably what you'll see prior to that is a Chapter 5 teaser, which we're already kind of working on. So that one you may see pretty soon. Coldy Fell 13 threw in 5. Thank you, Coldy Fell. Hey, Vince. Coldy Fell 13 here again. What if DD had a sandbox mode where you can be chased by every DD monster at once? Just a thought. Well, I think something we've been thinking about with Super Dark Deception that we couldn't do in Dark Deception is an editor mode where you can actually build your own Dark Deception level and populate it with whatever you want. So in Super Dark Deception, that's actually possible and something that we could do. So we're kind of looking at that now, and what you said kind of fits with that. So maybe that's something you could do in Super Dark Deception, but not Dark Deception. And maybe we would add that kind of after launch of the game. I don't think we'd have time to put that in for launch, but I think after launch, that could be like an update that we put out to let people start building, their own Dark Deception levels in Super Dark Deception. Automazor threw in 2. Guard dog or minion, what is that lamprey thing? Guard dog or minion? Well, I can't tell you what it is because that's a spoiler. So that's a you'll see response, but thank you for supporting us again. The Bowman threw in Sec 20. Thank you. Hi, can you say Claire Stokes, Class, and Ultimate? Oh, Clarice, are you talking about House of Ashes? Well, I mean, I'm going to save that for when we do the showcase video. If I look at her class... I was like, can I see that here? I don't think I can see that from this computer. Apologies, I'm on a I'm on a laptop over here, so this one doesn't have access to that file, so I couldn't pull it up. But yeah, I mean, I'll show that off in the showcase. We're going to do a showcase for all 3 DLCs, just like we used to do with Silent Hill and Monstrum. So that's coming up. That will be kind of a little event for each one. So hopefully that will answer all of your questions. You'll get to see the class and ultimate and attacks for each character in each DLC. Joy Lucky threw in another £5. Thank you, Joy. With Monsters and Mortals returning to peer-to-peer, will you implement an anti-cheat system to stop people hacking using Unreal Unlocker? Yeah, so we've upgraded Monsters and Mortals. One of the great things about the Switch is it allowed us to upgrade to Unreal Engine 5. So we're using Unreal Engine's latest EOS SDK, which includes Epic Anti-Cheat. So while I can't promise that's going to be the perfect solution that will stop all hacking, I mean, that's something that every multiplayer game struggles with, including the big AAA ones that are spending hundreds of millions of dollars, including like Fortnite and Call of Duty. So, I mean, if Epic and Activision can't stop people from hacking and cheating, it's very unlikely that 3 people can as well. There's going to be incidents like that. We'll try to manage it as best we can and, take away the low-hanging fruit, the easy stuff that they can do. But it's a small number of people that have the skill set to, do worse. Fernando Millo threw in 2. Thank you. Are we expecting a showcase for Monsters Immortals this week? This week? Let me see. Probably, yeah. I think we could fit it in either this week or on the day of launch. One of those two. Zia Nee threw in another 5. Thank you, Zia Nee. Is Darkstar more introvert or an outgoing and energetic game hostess? Well, I won't tell you what she is, but I will say she's very extroverted. She's very outgoing. Puppet King 69. Hey, Puppet King. Threw in 2. Thank you. Are we going to get a voice reveal soon? Yes, we are. Or, I mean, you could just do the voice yourself. I'm sure they just jump into one of the Discord chats and jump into the chat channel and share your voice. UBF13 threw in 5. Is there any PPOSTs that don't have Adriana's voice in it that you can share? Prison Panic OSTs, sorry. Yes, there are some. I am going to share some more Prison Panic OSTs tracks. And not all of them have Adriana on it, so yeah, I'll be sharing those at some point soon. Will Dark Deception on consoles... Shark Fan 2 threw in another £10. And he asks, will Dark Deception on consoles use a later and more stable version of the game compared to what's currently on PC, which isn't getting any patches until Chapter 5 releases? Yeah, obviously, the Dark Deception on consoles is going to use the final version of the PC version, so they will be exactly the same. Unicat Ninjas threw another 10. Thank you, Unicat. From Vader Gamer Z. Will Silent Hill DLC ever return to Steam, and will Dark Deception 3D Mobile still happen? Also, I ate all your beans, and as a YouTube figure. And I is a YouTube's figurine. Yeah, we're kind of talking with Konami about renewing the license for Silent Hill on Steam. I can't say that they're going to approve it, but at least we're discussing that right now, and it's possible. So if that happens, I'll let everybody know. But at the very least, it's guaranteed for Epic Game Store, and it's guaranteed for consoles. So you'll be able to buy Silent Hill on those, and they're all going to be cross-play. And as far as Dark Deception 3D on mobile, yes, that's still happening. In fact, we already have it running on mobile. I've already seen it, and I've seen it running on Switch as well. So, yeah, that's coming too. Oh, YouTube did its little jump, so hold on one sec. Okay. Well, that's a big jump. Okay, I'm back. Let's see, from Scare Films through in 5, is Dark Deception still coming to Quest 2, or now is it coming to Quest 3? I think it's probably going to come to PSVR 2 first, and then maybe HTC's Vive. And we'll see if it can run on Quest 2, or if we kind of hold off for Quest 3. Once we do the VR version, it will come to one of those. Automazor threw in 2. Thank you. Favorite part of Chapter 5 development? Being almost done with it. That's my favorite part of it. Seeing it almost complete. I know what you mean, but I guess my favorite so far would be Prison Panic. No, I would say Malik's level. It's very close. Unicat Ninjas through another 5. Since you said mannequins act differently based on color, what will you do to ensure that colorblind people will be able to properly distinguish them? Well, it's not just color, it's also shape. So even if you're colorblind, you'll still be able to tell the mannequins apart by their shape. Good question, though. Automazura threw in another 5. Let's see. Will Puppet King be a boss? Second question. Will the demo be a sign the game is coming soon? Well, I can't tell the boss of Holiday Horror. And will the demo be a sign the game is coming soon? Oh, I think you mean like the console demo. That I wouldn't really take that as any kind of sign that the game is coming soon or what month the game is coming. I mean, yeah, the game is coming soon. But the demo is kind of unrelated because it's just the Chapter 1 demo, or Chapter 1 from PC. So that's what the demo is the hotel level. It's not really related to Chapter 5, or it's not going to push Chapter 5 at all. It's just taking Chapter 1 and putting it on consoles so that people who've never played Dark Deception can try it out before Chapter 5 comes out. Automazura threw in another 2. Who is Malik's most trusted minion? Malik doesn't trust anybody. I'll put it that way. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 5. Vince, my cat died 4 days ago. He had him for 11 years. I am big sad. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I had a dog die last year. That was rough because we had that dog for about 20 years, really old. But yeah, 11 years with a pet, that's a long time. It's like a family member. So I hope you feel better. I'm glad you're here supporting the stream, even though you're dealing with your cat died only 4 days ago. Jeez, I feel like you shouldn't be here. You should be, taking some time for yourself. But yeah, thank you again. Hang in there. I hope you have more than one cat, at least. Pro Gamer threw in another €5. Have you seen people's art of Darkstar, and would you say that it's similar to her in game design? I've seen a couple good takes on Darkstar. I didn't want to weigh in on them or offer my opinion because I don't want to hamper their creativity. I think it's kind of cool seeing their idea of what she looks like based on that small glimpse that I've shown. And then later on they can kind of see how close they were when I reveal the full design of Darkstar. I think they'll like it. Obviously, some of them might get a little too attached to their design and be disappointed that it's not exactly their design. But that's just the way it's going to go. But I think some of them are cool. I saw a lot of them are kind of making it look like a magician character. I think, sorry, I forget. It's been a while since I watched Batman, but there was started with a Z. Oh, it's going to come back to me later. But yeah, there's a character in Batman, female magician, that's kind of what she looks like, I think. And I think that's what they're inspired by when they're doing their interpretation of her. But Darkstar is not a magician, I'll say that. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 10. Thank you. NMQ, do any of the mannequins wear clothing? If so, what kind? Will we see any new traps in Chapter 5? How many more holiday horror soundtracks are there left to publish? So do the mannequins wear clothing? So far, no. They're not. They're all running around naked. That's going to get us the mature rating. Oh boy. If so, what kind? Nope, no clothing. Will we see any new traps in Chapter 5? Oh yeah, there's a lot of new traps for each level. How many more holiday horror soundtracks are there left to publish? Well, I think, let me see. Trying to remember what we've already put up. I think we were missing the boss tracks, so those haven't been shared yet. Maybe Zone 3 Panic track still missing. I'm pretty sure I shared everything from Zone 1 and 2. Maybe the escape music. So there might be like 3 to 5 tracks left to share for Holiday Horror. Let's see. Alp threw in 2001. Thank you, Alp. Will there be shard collecting system in Dark Deception 2? Well, it's way too early for the sequel. I don't know. Yeah, there will be. I mean, that's the core gameplay of Dark Deception. That will continue in the sequel. So it will still have the core loop of collecting soul shards in the Dark Deception sequel. It just might be presented in a different way or evolved a little bit. So it'll be a little bit different but familiar. Let's see, to Bob threw in 2. Are you familiar with the sitcom Scrubs? Yeah. Actually, my little brother used to watch that a lot. So, I never watched it, though. I never caught it. I got caught up in other TV shows. Shadow X Acno threw in 5. Thank you, Shadow. What is your thoughts on people who drift away from supporting you because you say you make empty promises? Well, I mean, there's always going to be times where I'm wrong, or I say something and it doesn't happen the way I say it. That's all developers, and I've seen fans are impatient, and I don't blame them. When you get excited for something, you want it to come as fast as possible. You know, as a fan, I understand that. There's a lot of stuff that I'm waiting on. It's been delayed, and I'm still waiting on it. And I hope it comes sooner. But I'm a little bit more patient. I've learned to be patient. And some fans, all fans handle that differently. Some are impatient, some are not. Or some are patient. And no matter what you do, the fans will say stuff like that. So, I mean, I've seen them yell at the Bendy devs for taking 4 years on Bendy the Dark Revival, and look how great that turned out. And I've seen them yell at the FNAF team and Steel Wool, and I've seen them yell at pretty much every developer that exists. So you just kind of have to take that in stride. I will gravitate more to positivity than I do negativity. So if somebody wants to confront me and say, Vince, you suck, you make empty promises, I'm just going to be like, well, I'm working on the game and I'm doing my best, so, there's a lot of other games. If you don't want to hang around and wait for me to fulfill my promises, then there's other stuff you can play. There's plenty of other great games. But at least what I can say is that no matter how long my games are delayed, they're never abandoned. So everything I say I'm going to make gets made at some point, unless it's officially canceled. Which I haven't canceled anything officially yet. Even Pharmacalypse is coming back. Everything just kind of gets shelved at some point until we're able to catch up to it. Because we are a small team. We're 3 people. We're not 300 people. Let's see. JM Death Punch. D. Through in 5. Thank you, JM. Hey, Vince. Just wanted to know if you ever plan to make some videos showing off all the legacy footage for Chapter 4. TT, MM, and Barely Buried. Legacy footage. I think you mean like previous states. Unfortunately, those are kind of lost to time. So we have screenshots and maybe some video recordings of like earlier states of those levels that I think that's what you're kind of referring to. I guess we could do like a post-mortem video where I kind of go through and talk about, the entire journey of making Dark Deception and include those in that. That would make sense. So, yeah, I mean, after the game's out, I'll have plenty of time for stuff like that. Autumn Azure threw in another 2, thank you. Which level is Evil Doug in? Prison Panic, Holiday Horror, or Unknown Level? Well, I haven't said anything about Evil Doug, though I've shown an Evil Doug. or a creature that looks like an evil Doug, but I can't really elaborate beyond that. So that's a you'll see question. You'll see in Chapter 5. Pro Gamer 200 145 threw in another €2. Thank you, Pro Gamer. What Chapter 5 level is the most trap heavy? Definitely Prison Panic. Yeah, hands down. Not even close. SharkFan2 threw in another £10. Thank you. Because Super Dark Deception is going to be a game sold separately to Dark Deception, does that mean Super Dark Deception is not going to be playable within Dark Deception anymore? And how would you get a Unity game to work within an Unreal game anyway? Well, that's a good question. Simply put, it's impossible to get a Unity game to work within Unreal. And if you can get it to work, it's not worth the effort. So it's actually much easier to build a game from scratch using the same assets inside of Unreal than to try to import an existing Unity game. So is Super Dark Deception not going to be playable within Dark Deception anymore? No, it's still going to be playable. It's just, it's not going to be the entirety of the game. It's going to be kind of a recreation of our original Dark Deception demo, which was 2 levels. It was the hotel and it was the school. So in 2014, 2015, the demo that everybody keeps asking me to find had those 2 levels. And that's kind of what they're going to play inside of Dark Deception, is a Super Dark Deception version of that. But it's rebuilt inside Unreal. It's not the Unity one that I'm showing everybody that's going to be the separate game. And this one is kind of a special Easter egg. You have to find it. And it's not just the Super Dark Deception game. There's another kind of event scenario that goes with it that you have to kind of play through. So it's very unique in that way. It's kind of a combination of Dark Deception and Super Dark Deception. Tabub 45 threw in another 2. Have you watched the Petscop YouTube series? No, actually, I don't actually watch a lot of series on YouTube. I'm much more into like streaming on like Netflix and Amazon Prime and that kind of stuff. So the only thing I really check out on YouTube are creator series. Things like, obviously, you know, like Let's Players, like Super Horror Bro with his theories, and 8-Bit Ryan and Corey Kenshin and channels like that, Dashy. I'll watch people play games, or I'll watch animation, stuff like Flash Gits, or any kind of comedy animation channels like that I enjoy. So yeah, that's pretty. I'm pretty limited on YouTube as far as like what I check out. Joy Lucky threw in another £5. Thank you, Joy. Could a doctor and Papa Bear boss finally come into Monsters Immortals for Torment Therapy and Barely Buried? I know they're not lore accurate, but Monsters Immortals is non-canon, so it could be fun. Well, there's no plans for that at the moment, but I'm not going to say it's impossible. Maybe once everything else is done, we could, just like the Vulture Guard, look at stuff like that and see if it's something we could do. So that's not like a no, it's just kind of like a not right now. Isaac Smith threw in 5. Thank you, Isaac. Question about Mascot Mayhem. When Joykill was able to corner Doug at the end, why didn't he use Primal Fear? Something that Joykill is affected by. Well, actually, I kind of addressed that in Chapter 5. You'll see at one point that is kind of brought up, and by Bierce, of all people. So I'll let her answer that question later so I don't spoil that scene. Autumn Azure threw another 2. Thank you, Autumn. But the message was retracted, so that's a donation. Thank you for your support regardless. My Vision threw in €5. Thank you. Did you already have the idea of all the monster levels when making Chapter 1? Yeah, I mean, it kind of came on gradually, but for Chapter 1, it was just one level. The, monkey business, the hotel, plus the murder monkey. So they kind of went together. Let's see, CMS Productions threw in another 2. How significant of a role will Tammy have in Chapter 5? Tammy does have a significant role in Chapter 5. I can't say how often or how she's going to be involved, but yeah, she's key to the story in Chapter 5. Both her and Elise in Doug's family. ProGamer200145 threw in €2. Thank you, ProGamer. Is Death Follows a chase or an escape theme? That's a chase theme. District D threw in Try 55. Will there be new conditions for getting S rank on a hard mode? Will you do other than game? Will you do STH other than games such as animations? Will the sequel be much scarier? As far as getting S rank on a hard mode, I think I've already had a question like that in a previous live stream. I said there will be a hard mode, and it will have a special rank just for hard mode. That leads to a reward that you can only get by playing through hard mode. As far as the other thing, other than games, such as animations, and will the sequel be much scarier? I mean, the sequel is going to be bigger, better, scarier, more mature, that kind of thing. As far as STH other than games, I'm not sure about that one. So I'll just leave that one for now. Jack of Madness threw in 5. Thank you, Jack of Madness. Sorry to sound mean, but will anything be done with the blaringly loud title screen for Monsters Immortals? Probably not. Just at the moment, I would just turn it down. We are adding audio controls to the options finally, so maybe that will be kind of a compromise for you. 9Ace threw in 10. Thank you, 9Ace. I also wanted to ask about Puppet King. When will we get a reveal of his design? Personally, from the small glimpse we got of him, he might be my favorite design. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, we will give a glimpse of, or a larger glimpse of Puppet King as well, so that you can see more details of him. That's another thing I forgot I haven't shared yet, is we gave kind of a cropped, small glimpse of his design, kind of limiting it to the chest and face area. You will get to see more than that prior to Chapter 5's release. Okay, sorry, I lost my place. £2 from Joy Lucky. Can we get one beer slime from Chapter 5? Unfortunately, no, because I don't have the beer slimes on me right now. Nothing I can remember at the moment. ProGamer20145 threw in €5. On a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate the total difficulty of Chapter 5? Well, I mean, it depends what difficulty mode you're playing on, but on normal, this is probably the hardest chapter. It's not going to be easy. I would give it a 10 compared to the other chapters. Okay, let me see. Shadow X Acno threw in another 2. Thank you, Shadow. Will PC getting Chapter 5, or will PC be getting Chapter 5 before consoles do? No, they will be going out at exactly the same time for the digital copy. SharkFan2 threw in another £5. Thank you. Is PP going to be more trap focused than HH? And how does it compare to the traps in Torment Therapy? So yeah, Prison Panic is going to be much more trap focused than Holiday Horror. And how does it compare to the traps in Torment Therapy? It's much more complex, and there's a lot more of them. Unicat Ninjas threw in 5. Thank you, Unicat. Are any of the Chapter 5 levels finished? When will we get a Chapter 5 in-game spoiler? Are the mannequins still the fastest enemy? Okay, to answer those 3 questions, yeah, the Chapter 5 levels, I would say nearly finished, not 100%. And when will we get a Chapter 5 in-game spoiler? Well, I'm not going to spoil anything for Chapter 5, but I can do teasers. There will be Chapter 5 teasers that are in-game screenshots where you actually get to see the level. Those will be coming pretty soon. And by pretty soon, that doesn't mean like this week or like in 2 days. It means like, you know, in the foreseeable future, like in the next probably like 2-3 months, you'll see a teaser that shows off like one of the levels or two of the levels leading up to the Tokyo Game Show demo. And are the mannequins still the fastest enemy? I would go with yeah. Is Puppet King... Oops, sorry. Alp threw in another 2001. Thank you, Alp. Is Puppet King just a boss? Can he move his face? So, is he just a boss? No. And can he move his face? Yes. Scare Films threw in another 2. Thank you, Scare Films. Will there ever be an underwater type level? Well, well, that's a spoiler. Can't say. There is an underwater scene in Chapter 5. I just can't tell you if it's like a level or what it's related to. But it may not be the underwater type level that you're looking for, like some kind of Zelda water temple or, you know, the Mario underwater level, something of that, you know, scope and scale. Nothing like that. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 5. Thank you, Unicat. Hey Vince, when is Garden Ban coming out? Chapter 6, the Chapter 5 Dark Deception. You're amazing, Smacky Pies. I don't know how to interpret that. When is Garden of Ban coming out? I don't know. Chapter 6? That'll be after Chapter 5. You know, probably in 3 more years. So, yeah. 3 more years, Chapter 6. Be there. Autumn Azura threw in 2. Thank you, Autumn. Is Dark Deception insane or smart? Well, I wouldn't speak... I don't think she's insane, but she's smart. She's definitely smart. Zian Ni threw in 5. Thank you again. Do you worry that Dark Star will not be scary enough? She seems too cute to be a horror game antagonist. Well, Dark Deception is a spoopy horror game, not a traditional horror game. It's more of a like a spoopy adventure. I mean, the focus of Dark Deception is fun. So, she will be scary, trust me. But she will also be cute. She's a mixture of many things. So that just kind of goes with the style of the game. You know, we are not trying... Dark Deception is not trying to compete with Outlast. Let's put it that way. Oops, lost my place. Sorry. Oofenstein threw in 2. Thank you. What is the rarest plushie that's behind you? That's a good question. Rarest one? Well, I mean, that would be the one with the smallest number of plushies. So, probably it's one of the recent ones because the plushie sales have been lower recently. So it would be likely Golden Malik or the Skeleton Clown Gremlin, which is not here. Those are our 2 Monsters and Mortals plushies. As far as the Dark Deception one goes, probably Bierce. Unicat Ninjas threw another 2. What is Boss Mama Bear's official name? We never really gave her an official name. We just kind of referred to her as... kind of like you called her Mega Mama. We kind of had a similar name internally. We just kind of called her Mutant Mama. That was kind of our internal name for her boss mode, was Mutant Mama. Because that's what she kind of looked like to us. Satan threw in £5. Thank you, Satan. Who's your favorite Dark Deception character and why? Favorite Dark Deception character? I mean, I'm kind of bound to love the monkey forever. Murder Monkey has been there with me the longest. He was the first. He kind of kept Dark Deception popular for years until Agatha came along. So he'll always be my favorite. Oofenstein threw in another 5. Thank you. Have you ever thought of doing a Dead at Night crossover? Not yet, but maybe I'll think about it now. I've got too many crossovers going, though. James Smith threw in 2. Thank you, James. What do you think of chocolate gâteau? Nothing at the moment. I'm not sure what that is. I'm not familiar with it. But thanks for your support, and I'll check it out so at least I can be aware. Justin Awesome threw another 5. Thank you. Will the Chapter 5 characters appear on the sheet behind you when it releases? Also, if Mama bears the soul of abusive mothers, what are her babies? So, Chapter 5 appear on this sheet right here. No, because this design's already done. We'll probably do some unique art that has the Chapter 5 characters included. This one's kind of finalized. And we could do like sheets or posters or something out of that for around when Chapter 5 comes out. As far as Mama Bear being the abused mother, the Trigger Teddies were supposed to be like the abused children. Let's see. Autumn Azure threw in another 2. Will we see Mama Bear or Doom Ducky again? Well, I'd say in Chapter 5 you see everybody. I think I've already shared that publicly in previous Q&As, so it's not really a spoiler at this point. Chapter 5 brings the whole party. 9A's threw in another 5. Thank you, 9A's. You mentioned Puppet King's portal icon. Can we see it since it only shows his face? Well, I don't have it here to show, but I mean, you'll probably see it in the upcoming teasers. So you'll see it fairly soon. Shark, well, gosh dang it. Okay, sorry, YouTube did their little jump again. Okay, back. SharkFan2 threw in £5. How can BB sustain itself without a ring piece, unlike the other nightmares, which collapse when the ring piece is gone? Let's see. Well, Barely Buried is a bit of a different... It's a bit of an exception to the rule, because it's not a realm simply existing to protect the ring pieces. It's Mama Bear has her, basically, her own little realm that's basically an execution site for Malik. It's where he goes to make his unwelcome guests disappear. So they become Mama Bear's guests, and she, you know, kind of shows them the door. You'll see a bit more of that in Chapter 5, so it's not like it's really so unique to Mama Bear. It's actually something that is prevalent in that kind of universe of Dark Realms, is that there's many different types of realms, and they all have different rules. It all depends on who's ruling over those realms. YouTube lost it again. Okay, Alp threw another 2001. Thank you, Alp. Can you really confirm that Darkstar isn't Elise? No, I can't confirm anything like that right now. I will say I cannot confirm or deny. So I can't tell you that you're right, and I can't tell you that you're wrong. That's definitely a you'll see question. But thank you for your support again. Roru, nope, not that one. UBF13 threw in 2. Thank you, UBF. Why did you guys drop out of England? Oh, EN the Broken Mask. Evil Nun. Let's see. So why did we drop out of Evil Nun the Broken Mask? Well, we have an NDA, so I can't go into detail too much about that. But it just didn't really work out for us with our schedule. And we had kind of different schedules in mind for Evil Nun. And they found a developer who was pretty good, who could meet their schedule and what they wanted. So we decided to let that developer basically take over the project. So they got it done. It's out. They have the product that they wanted. Everybody's happy. Box and the Jack threw in 7. Thank you, Box. Could it be made possible to remove the Doug flashback sequence in Mascot Mayhem from replay menu version? It's a slog with repeated playthroughs. Let's see. No, unfortunately, the Doug flashback sequence is part of the game. It's a gameplay scene. We can make the cutscenes skippable, which I think they should already be. Or we can do something like in replay mode, it cuts out those cutscenes so that you don't have to watch them again. But as far as the dream sequence where Doug has to actually walk, that's gameplay. That can't be cut out. Unicat Ninjas through and 2. Thank you. What is the most cinematic Chapter 5 level? I think they're all pretty cinematic. But definitely Malik's level would be the most cinematic out of all of them. Alp through another 2001. Is Elise Clarissa Hauser or Clarissa Elise Hauser? It's Elise Clarissa Hauser. Let me see. Autumn Azure through in 2. Thank you again. Tell me if I'm right, baby penguin Tammy. Seal Doug. Oh, okay. So you're asking if baby penguin is Tammy and is the seal Doug. So in the song that Elise sings, Tammy's Lullaby, that's what it's called now. Some people caught that it was Tammy's Wish before. Yes, we did change the name to kind of better suit what it was about and how it relates to its use in game. Yeah, the seal does represent Doug. Justin Awesome threw in 2. Thank you again. Will there be 1,000 shard streak in Chapter 5? Probably not. Vander5974X threw in Real 220. Thank you. Someone managed to decompile Super Dark Deception demo. Thoughts? Not a big deal. I think they've decompiled everything we've put out. It's very easy to rip games. So, I mean, that's all out there anyway. And it's a demo. They're not getting their hands on anything too confidential. Let's see. Xenosaurus through an HUF 400. Thank you. Can you make a DLC with the unused OSTs for Dark Deception? I mean, we could always... We're not going to use those in the game, so I'm not going to add them in. But I mean, I just kind of do... I release those unused tracks on YouTube so you guys can listen to them. Same with the Vault, where I kind of add in the cut voice lines that we don't use. That's just a way to kind of share. Mary Belva, dear, threw in 2. Who's your favorite Agretsuko character and why? I guess you saw that I was following Agretsuko. Oh man, I like all of them. I don't really have a clear favorite. But obviously the main character, yeah. Ritsuko. Let's see. Shark Fan 2 threw in 10 pounds. In the CC boss fight, we only defeat 4 out of the 6 Goliaths that we see during the roller coaster ride. Will we see the remaining 2 Goliaths return in Chapter 5 since Doug never really destroyed all of them? Like I said in the previous question and for the previous live streams, everybody comes back. That includes bosses. Autumn Azure threw in 2. Favorite OST in Dark Deception, and any more surprises in June. Favorite OST in Dark Deception. I can't. There's just too many good songs from Dan. He's done an amazing job on that soundtrack, so I don't have like a clear-cut favorite. And as for any more surprises in June, I don't know about June, but we do still also have Dark Deception, or Super Dark Deception Chapter 2 coming. So you'll be able to play Elementary Evil and Deadly Decadence in Super Dark Deception, which nobody's seen Deadly Decadence yet. So that will probably come either late June or early July, early to mid-July. And that will be, of course, for PC and mobile. Automazor threw another 2. Which of Malik's minions could you take in a fight? Right now, none of them. Fall asleep, they just beat me up. CMS Productions threw in 5. Thank you. Have you ever thought of making DD Nindroids? Oh, sorry. Nindoroids. Yeah, I know those. I would kill for a Tammy or Mama Bear figure. Oh, man, I would love to do a Nindoroids. I saw they did... what was it? Doki Doki Literature Club. They did one. They did a couple for that. And I think they also did Cuphead. So I saw they did a really good job. So yeah, I mean, once Chapter 5's done, and we've got, you know, the hype trains going, and we've got all the Chapter 5 characters, then we could talk to them about potentially doing an Nindroid. So we have the U2s and the Nindroid. That would be pretty awesome. I'm not sure what character I'd want them to do. I mean, we already have a murder monkey. Would everyone want another murder monkey or a different character? I think they do female characters really well, so maybe Agatha or the Reaper Nurse or the Joy Joy Gang would be good. I'd have to look at their figures and see what they're best at, because I think they're all kind of chibi and cute. So that will work for some characters, but not so well for others. So I'd have to see which ones make sense with them. See, Unicat Ninjas, not my question. Why Heather Mason has a higher pitched voice? Oh, also she threw in 5, so thank you again, Unicat. Heather Mason has a higher pitched voice than the original voice actress in Silent Hill because we weren't able to use the original voice actress. So we had to use a substitute. So I'd have to look back at who did the voice for Heather Mason for us, but I'm pretty sure it was a voice actress that does anime. So she works with a lot of anime characters, and I think as a result, she has like a higher pitched voice anyway. It just kind of comes out that way. But it fit well, and Konami approved it, so we really liked what the job she did. She did an awesome job, and I like our version of Heather. Joy Joy Lucky, will you reuse... sorry, he threw in £5. Thank you very much. Will you reuse the death line of Beerus calling you a prison bee in Prison Panic? Had to ask because that line is hilarious. It's funny you brought that up because we did as well. So, we thought it'd be really funny to just hear her say that randomly at some point in Prison Panic for no reason at all. I don't know if we will, and probably we won't just because of the ESRB and the ratings boards would jack our rating up a lot for the profanity. But I wish we could put it in. I think we have the same kind of mindset on that, is that it's funny. They don't agree with that, but I think it's funny. Let's see, SEK, the Bowman threw in Sec 20. Thank you, Bowman. Hi again, any updates on They Grow? Okay, so that one is the game that we were publishing. And I think that is one of the first games that we can officially say is canceled. And the reason being is that the game was abandoned by the developer. So I think that one is definitely canceled. We're not going to go forward with that one. That's not our game, though. That was a published title. So we will simply publish different titles instead. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way it kind of goes sometimes. Let's see. UBF13 threw in 2. Thank you. When does the demo for Dark Deception come to PS4? Very soon. So we were waiting on approval from Sony, particularly for Super Dark Deception for PS4 and PS5. Those have all been approved now. So it's just a matter of getting the final release date from them, and then we can release. So the demo for Dark Deception is right now coming only to PS5 and Xbox Series SX. So that one won't be coming to PS4, but Super Dark Deception will. So PS4 players will get to play a demo. They'll get to play Super Dark Deception. If you have a PS5, you get to play both. Same for if you have an Xbox Series S or Series X. If you have an Xbox One, I'm sorry, you only get to play Super Dark Deception. And if you have a Nintendo Switch, same story, it's only Super Dark Deception. We do have Dark Deception running on Switch, but it wasn't ready or in a good enough state yet to make a demo out of it. So we will have a demo for those at some point. It'll probably just be closer to the actual release date. Let's see. Scare films through in 5. Were any monsters in Dark Deception? Were any monsters in Dark Deception created because of fears in your life? Yeah, I've already explained once that, well, prior to Chapter 3 launching, I did the clowns because of course, I've always hated clowns growing up. Chorophobia. It's just, something weird my parents did when I was a kid was and when I say kid, I mean like 3 years old or 4, is they decided decorating my room entirely in clowns was a really cool idea. And it just, like around that time, I started to see the clown horror movies, and it just traumatized me. So, always had a lifelong discomfort with clowns. Even if they're cute, it just doesn't sit well with me. So yeah, I would say that one. Trying to think of any other fears in the game that kind of tie to me. Nah, probably just the clowns. The others are other people's fears that I know. Okay. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 5. Thank you, Unicat. What if telekinesis could pull enemies in range to you and kill you instantly? How, you mean like you pull them to you and then they just like hit you in the face and kill you while you're holding them? Yeah, that'd be funny. That'd be probably get me a lot of hate, but it would be funny. Unicat Ninjas, sorry, Scare Films through another 2. Any board games of Dark Deception coming? Actually, you're the first person to ask about board games. I mean, if our fan base, if more of you start to request board games from us, then we see a lot of interest there, like genuine interest. I'd probably do a pre-order to make sure that interest is real. Then, yeah, we could do a board game. That could be anything from, like, Dark Deception Monopoly to Dark Deception Uno, or, like, a tabletop game. I mean, we know the people that make all of those. It's just a matter of, will our fans support it? So it's kind of like the plushies recently, you know. If everybody tells me they want a plushie, but only 100 people show up, then it's probably not a good idea to put that product into production. So a lot of these manufacturers, they have like a minimum order quantities, which means we have to be able to sell at least whatever their minimum is. And that's usually a couple hundred. So it could be like 200 to 500 units. So we have to have at least that much interest. So something that's maybe a little bit more niche, like a board game, we'd have to probably do like a pre-order for it to make sure that people actually do want to buy it. But if that interest is there, absolutely, I will definitely make it. Automazora threw in 2. Thank you again. If every pre-Chapter 5 non-boss monster fought Victor... What? Sorry, I'm not sure if I read that right. Oh, who would the Victor be? Sorry, I'm thinking of, like, Victor from Dark Deception from Bierce's timeline. I don't know why my mind went to that first. You're saying who would the Victor be? Does that include... Oh, you said non-boss. Okay, so bosses are out. So it's just the normal monsters. That means the Joy Joy gang can't use Joy Kill. I'd probably go with Mama Bear. Or Darkstar. Just because of their abilities. Let's see, Scare Films threw another 2. Biggest success and biggest regret in making Dark Deception. Well, I mean, the biggest success in making Dark Deception, I think, would be just the great fan base it's built. The great community of fans that we have and how supportive they are. That is Dark Deception's greatest success. And as far as the biggest regret has just been the length of the development. That's pretty easy answer for both. Obviously, I wish I could make Dark Deception or a game like Dark Deception in like a year. It just hasn't worked out that way. But you know, the better Dark Deception does, we grow our team, we get bigger. Hopefully we can cut the time down on the sequel. So sequel has a chance to fix all of the mistakes of this first run with the first game, the Shattered Ring arc. Shadow X Acno threw in 10. Thank you. I remember a tweet you made about the enemies having unfinished business with Doug. Does that have something to do with the blob, or will there be a potential boss rush that leads up to being blobs? Well, that's unrelated to the blob thing. No, there's no boss rush leading up to the blob. I can't even say what that blob even relates to or the context in which it appears in the game. The unfinished business with Doug is relating to the fact that all the monsters kind of come back in Chapter 5. Scare Films through another 2. Will there ever be a Dark Deception movie or TV series? Hopefully. I think it would be really cool if we could figure out kind of how to do that. Like, make it work. We'd obviously, don't want to make something that sucks. So we would try to make something cool and find the right director for it and the right story. We obviously need to finish up the game first, but I think once that's done, we could kind of explore potentially a Dark Deception movie or TV series. I feel like it makes the most sense as a TV series on like a streaming platform, not like a movie for like a theatrical release like the FNAF movie. I just think I don't know, for me, I kind of like streaming and TV series a lot more now. I used to be like a big movie guy, I still am, but I just feel like TV shows are so cool now, like way cooler than they used to be, and you can do so much. You can do almost as much with a TV show as you can with a movie, and it's a much lower budget. So something like that could live on for years, whereas a movie is just kind of like one and done unless it gets a sequel. Zia Nee threw in 5. Is it possible to tease how Darkstar feels towards Doug? Not at this moment. They do have an interesting relationship for Prison Panic. But you'll find that out when you play Chapter 5. You'll see. Unicat Ninjas, you just admitted Darkstar was Elise. Wow. Nope. You'll see when Chapter 5 comes. Nothing was admitted. Nothing was denied. SharkFan2 threw in £5. Thank you, SharkFan. Can you share any details on the new horror IP you might start working on after Dark Deception? Yeah, well, I mean, details are kind of sparse right now, but I said that, after working on Dark Deception for so many years, I kind of want to flex my creative muscles in mature horror. So I want to make something that's actually focused on, less on fun. I still have an eye for fun design. That's always very important. You start with that, you build around that. But less of a focus on fun and more of a focus on horror and kind of that horror atmosphere. The things you can get with a mature game that you cannot put into a game that has a wide-ranging age for the audience. So, yeah, my biggest influences growing up, and even as a designer, are Resident Evil primarily, and then games like Silent Hill and Fatal Frame. So I think, like, after Dark Deception, that's kind of what I'm imagining myself working on a new franchise for. So a new IP for that. So I'm not looking to be a Resident Evil clone. I'm looking to create something that is worthy to stand next to Resident Evil. So To do that, we have to do our own thing, and we have to do something creative. It's got to be something people will gravitate to and like, and it's, that's not a rehash of everything that's already been done before. I have no idea what that is yet. I have to go through my little creative process and, get the creative juices flowing to come up with something cool and go from there. That's kind of how Dark Deception started. So I just kind of have to go through that again. But it's fun. I think that's like the most fun part of game development is that clean slate. Like getting started. That's when you kind of feel free to do anything. Let's see. Scare films, threw in another 2. Any good recent nightmares about Dark Deception? No, not about Dark Deception. Other games, but not Dark Deception. I think a lot of my game ideas come to me, of course, like a lot of people, comes to them in their sleep. I get to see a lot of interesting horror game ideas every time I fall asleep. Sir Chicken Nugget threw in 2, and it's just a donation, so thank you for your support. Scare Films threw in another 2. Last one. Will Dark Deception 2 be rated M or still 12+? Well, definitely not 12+. Possible that Dark Deception could go mature. Or I may just keep it at the teen rating, but really push the teen rating. We'll kind of see what fits. Sir Chicken Nugget threw another 2. I dare you to do a collab with Garden of Band. Please no. Anything but that. We'll see. Justin Awesome threw in 5. Hey Vince, I'm planning on making a Pokemon Dark Deception crossover fanfic. If you want, I can email you a summary of the story and the works. Yeah, sure. Why not? If you've got a cool fanfic, share it with me. I'll take a look. Autumn Azure threw another 2. Thank you. What kind of monsters are in Dark Deception 2? Got any hints? Oh no. At this point, I have a skeleton outline of what Dark Deception 2 is going to be, story-wise. So I have kind of like the idea of the trilogy of Dark Deception already kind of laid out, and I know what each game is going to encapsulate, like which segment of that story is going to be covered in that second game or that third game. But I don't have like the details as far as like which monsters are going to be in it, or the gameplay, or how it's going to progress, or traps, or stuff like that. But it is going to be much bigger. It's going to make Dark Deception look like a fan game by the time it's done. Let's see. Blue Kirby Games threw in 5. Thank you. Hi Vince, are there any scrapped enemies or monsters that were originally going to be added? And will they be added in Dark Deception 2? Well, as one of our previous fans mentioned, there are the Vulture guards, and we also have Spider Pig amongst our kind of rejected monster designs. We also had Penny the Panda. I think that's it as far as like scrap Dark Deception enemies. I can't really think of any others. There's a couple for Chapter 5 that I'll share later after, all the Chapter 5 enemies are fully revealed. Pro Gamer threw another €5. Thank you, Pro Gamer. So since Elise sings Tammy's Lullaby, does that mean Elise and Dark Star share the same VA? Supports the theory of them being the same character. Oh no, so I think that's what Unicat was kind of going on, was that I said that's Doug is the seal, thus the one singing it is Elise for Tammy's Lullaby. That one we just kind of used Adriana because she has a really good voice for the lullaby. Our voice actress for Elise is completely different. So that doesn't really correlate to that. Let's see, Lindsay Cannon threw in £2. Thank you. Oh, that's just a donation though. So thank you for your support. Unicat and Jess threw in 5. Thank you again. The Coma was one of the first announced DLCs. Why every new DLC that announced pushes the Coma all the way back instead of coming after it? Well, the Coma was one of the first announced DLCs, but the Coma is also one of our niche DLCs, so it wasn't brought in because it has a big audience. It was brought in because it represented high quality in the horror genre. So as a result, we kind of had to address the DLC that has a larger following first. So we will get to the Coma, but we have to take care of the larger DLCs first because that's what keeps the game alive. I mean, that's just... That one's a simple business decision. So that will allow us to eventually get to the Coma DLC and put it out. And put the amount of love into it that it deserves. Pro Gamer threw in another €5. Thank you, Pro Gamer. Is Mortal Puppets Zone 2 chase theme and Death Follows Zone 3 chase theme? Mortal Puppets. Yeah, I believe so. I think those are the 2 chase themes. Scare Films threw in another 5. Last one. What happens? I see you have another one below that, so I know you're lying. What happens if Malik gets defeated by Doug? Will that be the plot of Dark Deception 2? Malik's revenge on Doug and creating more monsters to kill him. Well, I can't tell what the plot of Dark Deception 2 is, but I think you'll be able to guess it once you get through all of Chapter 5 in this game. Because it will have... well, nope, that's a spoiler. I can't say that. You'll see. You'll see. Play through all of Chapter 5 and you'll see. Let's see. Samu Raichu threw in £5. Thank you, Samu. Hi, Vince. You might have already answered this, and I just missed it. But what happened to Dark Deception demo on consoles? It is on the way. So Sony has finally kind of signed off on those demos for PlayStation 4 and 5. Obviously, that kind of bottlenecked everything because we have to release all the demos at the same time. So we can't, like, release Xbox and then release Switch and then release, Sony after that. They all have to go out together. So Sony getting delayed kind of delayed all of them. But now Sony's approved it. We just have to get through the rest of the approval process with Sony, and they'll probably go out before the end of June is my guess. That's probably best case scenario. I mean, worst case scenario is it goes into like early July, but I seriously doubt that. I think it's going to go before the end of June. One more sec. Scare Films threw another 5. Maybe one more. Is building atmosphere better than just jump scares and indie horror game? Absolutely. I think jump scares kind of wear off on you after a while. You get desensitized to it. You figure out all the tricks. Camera move left, camera move right, or left to right, and then back again. And then they jump scare you from below. They're always trying to subvert your expectations and jump scare you from a different direction, but that can only work so many times. And since they usually don't have any kind of build-up prior to the jump scare, they just try to surprise you. I don't think it's as effective as like a slow-building horror or a creature design that actually generates fear in you just by looking at it. Or not being able to see all of it, like having some of its details hidden. So, yeah, I really look forward to doing just absolute sheer horror. Stuff like... I mean, I wouldn't call Outlast sheer horror, but it's definitely scary. So, I mean, things on the level of, like, Silent Hill for psychological horror, or Outlast, or Resident Evil, some of the newer ones like Resident Evil 7 and Village. That'll be really cool. I have some awesome ideas that have been kind of parked on the shelf, waiting their turn behind Dark Deception, and it'd be really cool to finally get to those. Because like I've said before, I don't think Dark Deception is my best idea. Dark Deception is kind of a compromised bad idea that turned out well. It was like a happy accident. So I hope it's kind of my chance to prove to myself that, one, I can do something else other than spoopy horror in the horror genre. And two, that we can produce another idea that's liked by fans, that's popular. So we'll kind of see how it goes. And 3, that I can make something that's actually scary and, scares the crap out of people. So I like challenges, and I've kind of already put those challenges down for myself beyond, the challenges of Chapter 5. And we'll see how it goes. All right, that is the end of our super chats. So I'm going to jump over to the rest of our subscriber questions. These are the ones that are emailed in and chosen randomly. So if you didn't get picked, don't worry. Just keep trying, and eventually, the law of averages will be on your side. I'll read your question eventually. Number 1 from Mr. Dulat says, "Hello, Vince. I would like to ask you as a developer, where do you look or how do you create textures for games? And then the materials. In the future, I plan to create my own indie horror game. You can check it out later when I post some teasers." Okay, well, that's really cool. You want to make your own horror game. As far as creating textures for games and then the materials, I feel like that's a question more for Penn than me, but I'll do my best. Just because she's the kind of the lead on that on our team. So how do I create textures is basically, it really depends on what kind of surface that you're working with. So a lot of textures now are done with like photogrammetry. They will actually go out and take photos of real surfaces and convert that and use it in the game, or they'll go to a texture library, something online like textures.com that already has a crew that's already assembled a library of photos like that you can turn into textures. And then as far as unless your game's stylized, and then you can just hand paint whatever texture you need in Photoshop or something of that nature. And as for the materials, you can always take the materials inside of Unreal. If you're using Unreal, I don't know if you're using Unreal or Unity, you can take the material inside Unreal and use blueprints to modify it and create your own unique shader node or shader material. Or you can go into something like Designer, Substance Designer, and create your material there and export it into Unreal. So there's several ways. I like using Substance Painter. That's a great way to just paint real time onto your model and create the texture that way. That's kind of what I do in my pipeline for Dark Deception. But it's really up to you. There's no wrong way as long as you get the result that you were looking for. Number 2 from Jay Leak. Is Malik's level the 11th or 12th level of Dark Deception? It's the 11th level. Number 3 from Deceptive Guy. Can you add a feature to Dark Deception where you are in replay? When you want to replay a level, you can choose where to start from. For example, Zone 1, Zone 2, or Boss, and stuff like that. Yeah, okay, I get it. So you're asking if there's a feature where you could replay the level, but replay it from any of the checkpoints. Unfortunately, no. I'm going to dash your dreams. No, you have to replay the whole level from scratch. That's not in there at the moment. Not saying it'll never be in there, it's just not in our plans at the moment. Number 4, that pro YT. So, is the release date for Dark Deception demos for PS5 and consoles official yet? And is it true that Dark Deception on consoles is releasing with Chapter 5? We don't have an official date yet. What I said earlier was I would expect it before the end of June, and in worst case scenario goes into the first week of July, but unlikely. And as far as Dark Deception on consoles releasing with Chapter 5, yes. So, Chapter 5 is going to release on everything at the same time. For consoles, we don't have chapters, so it's just going to be Dark Deception complete, something of that nature. Number 5, Joshua D. What is your favorite design in Chapter 5? Probably, I'd go... There's a lot of designs I like in Chapter 5. If you're talking about character design, I would probably go with Darkstar or Puppet King, one of those two. Probably more Darkstar at this point. Question number 6 from Brayden. When Chapter 5 content is put into Monsters and Mortals, Will the mannequins be one character with red and white skins, or will the red stalkers and white mannequins be treated as two separate characters? Also, do the white mannequins have a name yet? Well, no, the white mannequins do not have a name. We just simply call them white mannequins. I know, very generic, but that's pretty much what they are in the levels, just generic props. Sorry, I'm reading through your paragraph again. Will the mannequins be one character with the red and white skins, or will the red stalkers and white mannequins be treated as two separate characters? Okay, so when they're put into Monsters and Mortals, it's just going to be the red stalkers. The white mannequins are not playable characters. And also, they're not NPCs. You'll see why in Chapter 5. Number 7, from Ilya. Will there be cameras at the holiday horror level? No. Question 8, from Kaylin. When might there be a possibility of getting more skins for the UK creators? Is it possible for more skins for the 3 at some point? Not right away, but maybe in the future. Unfortunately, the UK creator DLC is kind of locked down. Once we put out that DLC, what's in it is what's in it. We don't really expand that more. It would basically require us to sell another skin pack just for the UK creators. I mean, if Mike and 8-Bit Ryan and Dawko want to do that, then we could probably talk about it, like some kind of additional costume pack for them. But yeah, we're not going to expand the one that's already there. That's pretty much final. All right, and that's it for our member questions this time. I think a lot of people didn't know they could send theirs in, so it was pretty light as far as ones that I could actually use. There were a lot of kind of spammy questions that filled out the inbox, but I was able to dig those out. So that's it for, well, let me check the Super Chats one more time. We do have a couple more. Shadow Exactno threw in another 5. He asks, will Dark Deception 2 turn into Mortal Kombat in terms of gore? I don't know if it's going to be that gory. I mean, maybe it'll be a little gory. We might start to introduce some blood and a few more mature elements, but I don't think, you're going to see Doug running around ripping people's heads off. Samu Raichu threw in 5. Thank you. Again. Hi again, Vince. Do you know the YouTuber Smackin' Pie? Yes, I do. It would be cool if he was in a Monsters and Mortals DLC. I think we're pretty much done with the creator DLCs after Corey Kenshin. So, like I said, I didn't want it to turn into YouTubers and Mortals or Monsters and YouTubers. So I said we would do a few for our biggest Dark Deception creator supporters at that time, which were those for Super Horror Bro, Corey Kenshin, Dawko, and 8-Bit Brian. So I think we already covered that. We'll probably look for other interesting DLC that's not related to social media or streaming platforms for any kind of future creator DLC. It may be something completely different, like athletes or something, or maybe even horror creators. Like if I could somehow get Stephen King in there as a playable character, who knows? Something like that. Authors. But yeah, there's other ways. I mean, I think Smack told me he's coming out to Tokyo, so maybe he'll be one of the first people to play the Chapter 5 demo at Tokyo Game Show, so he can get involved that way. Let's see, Roro X, when are we going to get... Roro X threw in $5. Thank you, Roro. When are we going to get a teaser for Holiday Horror? Well, I don't know if the teaser is going to be Holiday Horror, but I said we will do a Chapter 5 teaser. And at some point, I will show a screenshot of Holiday Horror. It's just the timing. All right. SharkFan2 threw in £20. Thank you, SharkFan. Since there's going to be a new extra requirement alongside S ranks to unlock the final level and the true ending, does that mean we'll need to play through all the levels and get S ranks again, even if we had them already? Did I misread something? Let me read that again. New extra requirement alongside S ranks in the true ending. What extra requirement are you talking about? Oh, the extra requirement that I mentioned. No, that has nothing to do with S ranks. That has to do with the E-notes. So if you've been finding all of the E-notes, that is the extra requirement to get all S ranks and also find all of the E-notes. So you can easily do that just by going to replay mode. Just run in, find the E-note, and then complete the level. You don't necessarily have to get S rank. It already saves your S rank as the highest grade that you've achieved. You just have to find the E-note. Let's see. Thibs2 threw in €5. Thank you, Thibs. Replay button story mode after finishing the level and not being happy with the results. Well, right now we have it separate, so you have to go back to the title screen to do replay. It's just going to stay that way for this Dark Deception game. It's already locked in that way. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 2. Thank you, Unicat. Last question. By Vince, stream, or I don't know if that was supposed to be nice or Vince. I'll go with nice. Bye, Vince. Nice stream, bro. Hehehe. Thanks again for all your donations, Unicat. Have a great night. Waru X threw in 5 again. Thank you again. Will Puppet King and Darkstar be added to Monsters and Mortals as playable characters? Yeah, I mean, our goal, well, my goal is to get all of the Dark Deception enemies into Monsters and Mortals. So we have some Chapter 4 enemies that are still kind of never been added, like Mama Bear and Trigger Teddy. They were not added due to technical issues that was kind of baked into the previous issue that we had. And we also have the levels like Joy Joy Land that's done, but we haven't added it into the game yet. So yeah, we'll get through all of them. It may take some time, but eventually we'll get them all in. All right, well that is it for Q&A episode 24. Thank you all for being here and asking me all these awesome questions and keeping me going. It's like 5 a.m. here now, so I'm going to crash. I'm running on fumes at this point. I think a couple times I might have nodded off. I'm going to look at the video later and see if I closed my eyes. But yeah, thank you again. And yeah, stay tuned. Monsters and Mortals is coming. Super Dark Deception Chapter 2 is coming. Teasers are coming. We've got plenty in the remainder of June and July to keep you all happy and have some fun with this. So I'll be seeing you next time. Good night, good day to the rest of you, and I'm out.